The views and opinions expressed on From the Mouths of Madness are that of the panel and not of the Geeks Under the Influence Network or their sponsors. Listeners, beware. Coming straight from the Mouths of Madness. I'm Lowdown, with me as always is
F.U. Hunter. What's up, you chainsaw zombie bitches?
Chainsaw Zombie Bitches. Yeah.
I guess chainsawing. I don't know. Yeah.
Birdman Bitches.
Oh, fuck yeah. Birdman bitches. Yeah.
Bitches. Yeah, no, this is back to the 90s bitches.
Aha.
Back to the 90s bitches. Yeah. Tonight on the chopping block, we're going to be talking about it was finished in 2022, so we'll go with 2022.
All right.
Because I didn't get the DVD till 2023, but we'll go with it was finished in 22.
Okay.
2022 film, The Barn Part 2. Now,
much anticipated.
no shit. Fucking COVID, man.
Seriously.
God damn it. Fucked everything up. But, we waited with bated breath to get my Indiegogo copy of the special edition, yada yada, signed, all that stuff of the film. Just because, dug the first one, was very hopeful for the second one. But we'll see. Before we get into that, please like, share, comment, subscribe, rate, review, all that good shit everywhere you listen to your podcast, across the socials. We greatly appreciate it. It takes a couple seconds for you, but it greatly helps the podcast, and we want to keep growing. So definitely make sure to do that for us. Your Madness Boys.
Yes.
Thank
I want to help out the Madness Boys.
Now, on to the episode. Fuck. Now on to the episode. So, this one, if anybody, listeners, I hope you've seen the first one by now. God, it was fucking free on Amazon for like 4 fucking years. I don't think it's on Prime anymore.
I don't think it is. I don't know.
think it is.
Yeah.
It was there forever.
But it gets passed around to the different streaming sites, so it's
an
on
ooey
something.
gooey horror, so it's somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. It took place in the late 80s.
Yeah.
And we got a little bit of time jump with this new film. And it takes place it starts off in 91, and then the main story is 92. And, so we're, at the end of the first one, we have our character driving away, and, yeah.
She, we're like, I wonder if we're ever going to hear from her again. And here's part 2. Yep, we do.
Here you go.
But it's a really good, pass down, they talk about, they reference the first one, and there's a little bit of her moving on, but she's still holding their spirit. One of the big motivations is let's have that, Halloween, celebration
in the barn.
Yeah.
And because that's what Sam would want, keep Halloween alive,
Yeah.
And, I get it. They do a good job of setting up context. Like, okay, I will say this. The movie starts like swinging like the first one did. The first one we get a little girl with a pickaxe to the head. And this one, we get multiple deaths.
Oh, the Boy Scouts?
The Boy Scouts.
Yeah.
Oh, hold
on. The little girl was one thing. There's a little bit of, you see kind of if I remember correctly, like a quick death.
Mm-hmm.
Nope. They tell you for the first fucking 5 minutes in the barn 2, we ain't fucking around.
We ain't fucking around. No.
You see some fucking hardcore deaths.
I got one that I didn't like.
Yeah, I was gonna say, which one would that be?
That was the. It wasn't the main counselor. It was the priest. And he got the eyeball.
That's right.
It was like a s'more?
Yeah, I was gonna say there was a s'more situation. Man, there's heads being squished, and this movie says we're gonna go for it a little bit more in this one than we even did in the first
one. Formula, man.
Yeah,
it's the formula.
It's the formula.
What's Randy saying? Scream.
Yeah,
Scream 2. He's like, it's the sequel.
Yeah.
More deaths, that's.
And I will say they definitely, what is it? God, it's got to be 3 times the amount of deaths in this one.
Oh, easy. If you're counting everything up from the end.
Well, because you do have in the first one, when they go into the Rockabilly show.
Well, yeah.
So there's a good amount of deaths in that.
Okay.
But this one definitely says, we're going to pretty much take out most of the fucking town.
Yeah, and see, with the first one, I count that hoedown scene not as one big death because it was a mass murder, right?
Yeah.
versus like a movie that spaces out and just does multiple brutal deaths.
Well,
You know what I mean?
I mean, but I'm just saying, if you throw out like 30 kills just in that scene,
Mhm.
you still have 3 times the amount in this fucking movie.
Yeah.
They go for it on so
We have
many
a church
levels.
in this one.
Oh, yep, yep.
We have a church in this one.
Plus, you have all the unknowing people that go into the haunted thing, and so
Yeah.
everybody, that whole line of motherfuckers, they're all gonna get fucking taken out.
Everyone that works there too.
Yep.
Jesus. No, so yeah, they killed off one of the returning characters right off the fucking get. And it was all right, so that scene was cool to me because as I'm watching it, you know, people think like, you know, around the campfire and all this is normal in horror movies, but in reality, that's not the case. There's only a couple movies that have actually done the around the campfire thing. You know, you've got multiple early Friday the 13th movies,
Yep.
and then you've got like Madman
Up the fog.
and the in the fog.
Yeah, remember?
Yeah, in the
He's like,
fog.
all right, you little
Yeah.
shits, I'm gonna scare the
original
fuck out of
Fog.
you. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I mean, that there's not a lot.
That's
you know?
effective. Yeah.
That's yeah.
Yeah.
You know, because I was thinking this actually ties more because Jason never jumped out right after they talked about him on Friday the 13th. It actually feels more like Madman to me, because like when you whisper his name when you say his name above a whisper, he's coming to murder you.
Right.
And the kid, little shit in Madman, said his name really loud, and then oh great, he's killing counselors.
Fucking priest,
Yeah.
priest in disguise.
Yeah.
It's like, didn't you have us say that shit earlier? Like, you're like, yeah, I did.
And then,
Yeah, y'all fucked up.
Yeah. Fucking asshole.
Weird timing. We got to tell the whole story right before y'all about to get killed too. But they went for it. Like, you still are like, okay, maybe somebody's gonna get away. There's gonna be something. No, all those kids around the fire,
Murdered a fuck ton of
all
kids.
fucked. Yep.
Fuck ton of kids.
Yep.
And I will say, this, you know, it was a great intro to our returning monsters, right? Because that's what these guys. It's in the vein of a slasher, but it's a monster movie.
Yeah.
You know, and we got to see what they look like post what happened to them at the end of the barn. They're like,
Well, especially fucking scare
the candy corn man.
Candy corn man. Holy shit.
Fucking shit's all fucking it's just melted. Fucking candy corn scarecrow. Excuse me. He because I remember running into Justin, the writer director, who there'll be an interview that I did with him at Mad Monster Con in Charlotte, well Concord, whatever the fuck, attached to in this episode. I ran into him like during the filming of this movie, so I think it was like 2019. You know, he was filming.
Was that Cherry Hill?
No,
Not Cherry Hill. I'm sorry.
It was Hunt Valley.
Hunt Valley. That's what I meant. Yeah.
And he showed me like that mask particularly.
Oh, really?
Candy corn scarecrow. He's like, oh, what I'm doing is called battle damaged.
Yeah.
So they're all battle damaged, right? Because they all got fucked up. Like you can see the lines in the boogeyman. You know, the miner.
Yeah.
You can see where his hoodie got cut in half and like it got pulled back together.
Which I really like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. He added that kind of like, these motherfuckers been through some shit if you saw the first one. Like,
exactly. So that was straight out the way. And now, okay, yeah, obviously, as any horror movie goes, there's filler, there's dialogue. We get Diana Prince, which was nice to see during the dialogue.
Yes.
Whammy.
Can we also bring up fucking cameos? Like,
oh, we got to talk about
motherfuckers-
cameos. All right, can we talk about like Justin and you know, anyone else involved with positioning these people? We got Joe Bob Briggs running a drive-in.
Yep. Who does a quick breakdown of the
He starts bringing
fictional
his
movie?
yeah. I was. It'd be nice if he threw in like a foo.
I know.
Well, he started to. I think
Yeah,
the guy shut him down.
Yeah.
It's like we got a you know, was it tit foo and whatever the fuck else he comes up with. Oh my god. And then we've got Doug Bradley. That was
Grandpa
Dude.
Grandpa Bradley.
Grandpa Bradley.
Let me tell you about this fucking tale.
But dude, the way he told the story, like I was like, I remember watching the film. I'm just like just staring, like tell me more of this story.
And that's what you want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's Doug Bradley? He's classically trained. He fucking, you know, it's Doug Bradley.
But he scares the fuck out of these people and then brings the newspaper back up. He's like, all right, well, there you go.
But he waits till the weak ass son, you know, our Sam's father, like, you know, is gone. And then he's like, I'm going to tell you about this shit. I saw this shit. And it was really cool because it gave us backstory, which is also something you usually get in a sequel, which is something you want. You know, the first time it happens, you get like the reason. Like, this is the lore. This is, you know, whatever is what you got in the first one. The second one, you get like someone who kind of saw like the well and things happen, right? And that's really cool. And but like they gave him that tagline at the end when they leave is like, raise some hell.
Yeah.
Like, it's so cheesy.
I'll be honest, probably my top cameo is the mayor
Oh, yeah.
of the town.
Was he not perfect? Was he not perfect for that?
He's perfect.
Dude, he's perfect for that.
Fucking Lloyd Kaufman.
Dude.
Fucking, and not only did they bring him in, but he gets to have his own fucking death, and he got a fucking kick out of that.
Fuck yeah. You love that shit. So when you hear his voice before you see him,
Yeah.
because they made a point to like do a special camera zoom thing over
Where you're
to
looking
him.
at the
But like when it actually pans to him, but like you hear him talk a few sentences before, I'm like, I know that fucking voice, and I was like, oh shit, it's Lloyd Kaufman. Yeah.
And then the returning cameo from the first one, which she was in very kind of maybe I guess one or two scenes. Like
Yeah, it was like one scene as Miss Barnhard.
But is
Linnea Quigley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she kind of was the bad guy in the first one, but just kind of a filler setup for what brings the story going along. This one, she's definitely almost like the footloose bad guy, like I'm going to stop Halloween celebrations at all costs.
That's the whole thing. It's like, it's literally Footloose, but with Halloween instead of dancing.
Yeah.
Like, it's exactly what it is.
And then you get to, near the end of the movie, her holding a chainsaw, fucking covered in blood. And I was like, fuck yeah.
Yeah, no, she got some badass in this one. That
Yeah.
was awesome. And so the two returning cameos, Linnea Quigley and Ari Lehman, both had way more screen time.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. You mean Ari Lehman? He was literally killing people with the keytard?
He was.
Yeah.
He was killing people with a fucking
He's
keytar.
so fucking committed to that,
No,
man.
okay, that keytar is like way too big.
I understand.
It was way too big.
It is. But because you have to make it kind of buffed out because, I mean,
it's a keytar.
You're killing fucking zombies with it, all right?
Yeah. But also it's a keytar.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man. No, so the cameos were, am I missing any? Hope not.
Oh, well, you have one of the sorority sisters is...
well, I said they had Diana Prince,
Yeah, so...
Yeah, she's one of the sorority sisters, yeah. So, I feel like, I mean, I say that's it. That's a lot. I'm just making sure I'm not missing anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I am. I think that was it.
I think that's it, yeah. But, I mean, and then you get appearances from some of the original cast from the first one that you weren't sure if we were going to see again since how the first one ended. But
yeah, but I will say that was a bit of a surprise because it's Sam and Josh was his scene was very short. And I didn't expect to see them.
That's what I'm saying.
All,
so yeah,
right? Like I didn't expect to see them at all. Like I figured the way it was set up, it's like you were good with the current characters. Like you know what I mean? Like you weren't wanting them to come back. And it was a nice surprise.
Yeah,
when
it was unexpected because the torch had kind of been passed to obviously the what's her name from the first one, and then kind of these new characters, and you have the guy that works at the video store.
Okay, can we talk about the video store scene? Did you please tell me you paused and like watched the different films that were on the wall?
Oh, they lined it up.
Dude.
So it was some top tier ones.
Dude.
Like that's the way it should have gone. And you can see that there's the top tier of like certain franchises right there next to each other, right in the middle.
Yeah.
And then some of the shittier ones kind of lower. And that's the way I would have had my fucking video store too. Is like, all right, you got Friday the 13th, you got part 2, part 3, part 4. Okay, 6. If you look way below that, you'll find some of the other Friday the 13th. Like it was like that
8.
though. Like they were showcasing all the good shit right there, right behind the characters.
Yeah, dude. I remember. So at first I was like, "Oh, cool, it's a video store." I always love to see a video store in a movie because that's where I lived when I was younger. But then when I just like, there was one scene where there was like a decent chunk of dialogue, and I just happened to look in the background. I'm like,
you have to,
oh
man.
fuck, and I paused it. I'm like, holy shit, there's a movie that I could never remember the name of. And fuck, now I'm brain farting on it again. It's something prairie, like ghost prairie ghost stories or ghost stories on the prairie, but it had Brad Dourif on it. And he was like this traveling, like, you ever seen that?
No.
Yeah, he's like this traveling dude and he like runs across this girl that needs help, but she ends up being like kind of like a weird siren-esque thing or more like a succubus.
Was that not even covered in Search Darkness 3?
Oh, it was a 90s film.
Oh, so we're not there yet.
Yeah,
That's true. Okay,
yeah.
All right.
Because it was a 90s film, but it was just cool. Like, you know, I remember renting it when I was younger because it had Brad Dourif. I'm like, oh, Chucky. Like, let me see what he's, you know, and I remember enjoying the movie. It's kind of like Tales from the Dark Side. It was a 90s movie. that was good, but you know what I mean? Like, I mean, there was just so many movies like The Blob, the OG cover of The Blob with the
dude.
yeah, man. I was like, what the fuck? This is awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty badass.
So many fucking.
But they bring him in. You know, I mean, again, you have all the sorority sisters. So you have, I guess, you have the sister of
Josh, right?
Josh, yeah, as kind of the main best friend of our returning girl. So you have that, and then you have all these kind of introduced characters. So you're not really.
By the way, why the fuck did we not know anybody in the '90s doing this shit? Making barn fucking haunts and shit.
Well, I'll say specifically, there's one of them that I really wish was incorporated into our haunted barns, which is two of the girls that get
Pillow fighting. Yeah.
Yeah.
The slasher.
Yeah. I'm just saying, like, there was a couple I was like, God damn, where was that shit? So
that dude was fucking creepy, by the way.
Oh, that's in the. I was more talking about how they're set up and dressed.
No, I get that. I'm just saying, like, he needed to die.
I'll be honest. I forgot about him because of them. We'll just throw that out there, okay? But straight up, man, we talked about that. There's like 3 times the kills in there.
Well, we also
it's just not just the kill. It's not just the amount.
Yeah, it's the way they were killed.
But the way they're done, some inventive, fun ass shit. Like seriously,
and practical.
It was all practical.
Yeah,
and I'll throw it out there, man. I really, really love. I own the first barn. I tell everybody to check it out. But man, this is really that sequel. This is the Aliens to Alien, where they just kind of packed on a lot more fun.
Yeah, except for the Aliens to Aliens, it's more action versus horror. Barn Part 2 is definitely still a horror movie.
It still is a horror movie, but I'm just throwing out there. They went all in on the practical effects to just so much a higher level of what they can get away with. So.
Yeah. And we also have new monsters.
Yeah,
things came out of hell.
Yeah,
since the gate was opened at the end of the first one,
and incorporating them, going, all right, well, you know what? Last time, we had some pesky kids fucking with us. We need reinforcements, so we kill you, you join us. We kill you, you join us.
But then we also got the bird.
But I'm saying the bird with the injecting each victim and going, all right. Now we got a fucking army. You're not just going after us. You're going after your best friend from like earlier in the movie now.
Yeah, and then
I like that shit.
And then we've got the pig.
The pig, yeah.
The pig, and I feel like there's one more. Isn't there one more? Or was
bird,
just those
pig. I think that the one that gets confusing is because he didn't have his hood on. Was the scarecrow? Some of the kills were without the hood, and then some of the kills were with the hood.
Yeah. But dude, that one kill where he sends out his vines and shit. Because he's like up in the rafters.
Oh, you talking about the jack-o'-lantern?
The jack, yeah.
Holy shit.
Scary Jack, yeah. Hollow Jack, Hollow Jack. Yeah, that was fucking rad. Because she was like was she sucking off the big disgusting fat dude?
I think she was pretending to. I can't remember, man.
Dude,
holy shit!
But like that was a pretty rad fucking scene.
Yeah,
and that was all practical, but it looks fucking sick.
Oh yeah, there's some kills in there. Again, you're just like, wow. To have a face get chopped in half, like in the front part. Yep.
Always a fan of that one. And I say that, but it doesn't get done a lot. So it's like I feel like there's one movie I can think of where I've seen that in before, and like I'm brain farting on what it was. So it's not like a common death.
Yeah. I mean, the only one I can think of that's kind of like it is 13 Ghosts with the fucking glass, but that's not even.
Oh yeah. That's not practical.
Yeah, that's not practical. Yeah,
yeah, that's what I'm thinking of, but it's not practical.
And that's the thing is that, man, we bring it up so fucking much, but keep practical effects in. If you're a big horror fan, there's some movies you can sort of get away with it. For the most part, it hurts us when you just rely so much on digital. And so a movie like this that goes, we're pretty much all practical, and we're gonna have fun with it. That's the shit that I can tell you the Madness Boys fucking
Breeze
love.
Life.
We love that shit, all right?
No, 100% love that shit. Like that's where it's at, man. Because it takes so much creativity to bring that shit to life.
Yeah.
It takes so much more. Like it's not so much the skill of typing and making the thing happen. It's like you have to take things and then add things to them and then add things to that and make somehow a squirty thing. Like, just, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that you've got to take, like, 4 or 5 things to make something squirt and gush blood and then, like, build up fucking latex and all that other shit, yeah.
And there's just something about, like, you could tell this movie was fun to make.
It had to be.
And that's the thing is that, it's a small budget. It got, like you said, it was pretty much funded.
Yeah, well, so there was a big chunk of it funded. I mean, obviously there were producers, but like it was funded, yeah.
Yeah.
I
saw a certain person's name at the end of the credits,
That was you mean the Geeks on the Influence Network?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was might have been me.
Yeah.
I don't know. Don't know what you're saying.
And I'll be honest, I should have done it because you put your name, you put money in, and it's just really cool to see like what you help like throw in. You get something like this,
and that's one of the greatest things about doing the because there's another campaign, and that one I did Madness, I did Us, know, and Cryptids is another one, that campaign that's going on, and he and the director of Barn 2 and the Barn is working with one of his friends to make an anthology monster movie called Cryptids, which cryptids, monsters, So I'm really stoked to see when that actually gets finished. So they keep getting updates, but again, everything. Dude, COVID was horrible on major corporations, let alone indie fucking films.
Yeah.
Let alone indie films, dude. Like the little guy got railroaded.
Yeah.
So back to the movie. I mean, that haunt was so elaborately, and the people the costumes they were wearing as the miner or as Hollow Jack or as Candy Corn Scarecrow.
Yeah.
I swear, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure those masks were based off the original drawings that Justin did, because he wrote The Barn when he was a kid.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, literally a kid. And I think those masks, you know how ridiculous the Boogeyman mask looked?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure those were based off his drawing. Like, just kind of to bring in the original material.
Can we throw out some props real quick? Dude is not just directing the movie.
He plays the Boogeyman. Well, his wife played the pig.
Yeah.
Like, his wife was the pig crawling around and all that shit.
And I'm pretty sure his kid was in one of the scenes at the end, but I could be wrong.
See, we didn't. So there's an interview coming in on this episode. I don't remember him mentioning his kid. He probably might not have put his kid through that. He might have. I might not.
There's
a
scene in where they have the family, the whole town coming in, and there's some kids in the front. I thought that was, but I could be wrong.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I know he's got 2 kids.
I appreciate him involving his wife. Like, all right, you can put on this shit.
Well, when you listen to the interview, you'll hear apparently how much more, and I had no idea that his wife is involved, which is fucking awesome.
Yeah. It's a family affair.
Yeah, family affair.
Yeah. Put this shit on, pretend like you're fucking devouring somebody. Love you, honey.
It's awesome. That's so sweet.
I don't know if I can push that shit. I don't know.
I mean, she's always a sweetheart. Counts to. She clearly loves this shit.
Yeah.
Just as much, right? Otherwise, if you didn't love it as much, you couldn't like put up with and support a husband who is good at it. And, like constant, like that's what he's doing. Like you couldn't. You
had to kind of be all in. It's all in on the.
It's all in, man. Like
nothing says all in. Like I will put on the pig outfit and I will pretend like I'm fucking devouring somebody. Love you, honey.
Yeah, and like I said, adding the lore and the well, and then everything come out of the well, and there was a big chunk of the film does take place in the haunt, but then we get, where Ari had like said fuck Miss Barnhart, and he's going to the fucking town to the committee meeting, and when he shows up, and oh man, then we just get like all hell breaking loose.
And well, then you kind of split between the two. There's still some kills at the barn, but there's some kills.
Everything's moving towards the church,
and then you incorporate in the zombies.
Mm-hmm.
Which again, like you're not just dealing with the main monsters, you got the zombies here now too, which adds more kills, more fun. I can't remember the mayor. Does he killed by one of our main 3, or is that by?
I'm pretty sure it's one of the main 3.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't remember. Like we're recording this, folks, about 4 weeks after watching it, and I haven't had a chance to rewatch it, so it's I can't remember. I'm pretty sure it's one of the main 3.
Yeah,
he deserves a main 3 death.
Yeah,
it's like Kaufman.
Yeah.
Come on. And Miss Barnhart kills a bunch of people.
Chainsaw level.
Yeah. And then we got, like I said, some still stuff is still happening at the haunt. Sam comes back. I guess he crawls out of the well, and then he does his thing, and then Josh shows up at the last minute to save the day.
Oh, dude,
that very quick fucking.
They ended that in that convenience store.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was some good shit right there.
Yeah. No, this movie, definitely it felt like the first film but amplified, which is what a good sequel should be.
And exactly, that's what I'm saying. Is they went from the first one and said, let's throw some more shit in different ways, more locations, more kills, just in gorier shit.
What about the very ending though? Like, did Sam get possessed? Is he possessed now? Remember, because they showed out the window and his eyes glow.
Yeah,
I'm like, what the fuck? No, Sam. I don't know, man. I don't know. I have to figure out. Is there gonna be a Barn Part 3? Is this gonna happen?
Fingers crossed,
dude. If we have a fucking franchise,
if there's
of
a Barn
films,
3, it's probably gonna have like 100+ fucking kills in it.
But like, if there can there be an indie franchise? Because like all the franchises, the first one was indie, and then they're like, no, okay, now we got picked up.
Yeah.
Now we're getting more money.
Yeah.
I mean, Halloween 2. They begged Carpenter and Hill to write Halloween 2. You know, Friday the 13th Part 2.
Yeah, and
Nightmare 2.
He sat down, drank some beer, wrote it over the
I
weekend.
don't want to make this fucking movie.
This movie.
Yeah.
They kill Michael Myers in the car. No, it's not Michael Myers, some other asshole kid. Anyhow.
Yeah.
That's Carpenter flicking him off. Going, Michael Myers dies.
No, Ben Tramer.
Ben Tramer, I feel like is Carpenter going in. Michael Myers gets hit with the car. They go, dude, that's like 30 minutes of the movie. We still need to have another hour. He went, okay, it's some fucking dumbass kid wearing the exact same stupid mask, all right?
I was trying to be done with this. Fuck you.
Yeah. So it's not a cash cow like Halloween 2 was in the way.
Yeah. So, but it'd be cool to just like, let's keep that going. Like, and with no COVID, hopefully, but we need to see traction on this film.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Pass the word.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fun. I don't know if when it gets to streaming like that, as the first
hopefully it comes to streaming.
Hopefully so. Just as the first one did, I don't know if Shudder or somebody like that is going to be able to pick it up, but just pass the word, watch it, fucking tell people about it because it was so much fun.
Outside of cons, I don't, and their website, I don't know where to get it.
Yeah.
Like, because not only, Justin Seaman also owns Scream Team Releasing. So he started Scream Team Releasing. He's also a writer, director, and an actor in his movies. So, but you could definitely go to screamteamreleasing.com and
we'll put something on our site, possibly.
Yeah. I mean, well, like when this episode comes out, there'll be links and everything to all this stuff. And, I mean, I've got tons of Scream Team Releasing films because there's tons of just indie horror.
Yeah.
So we need to start covering more of those. Because we haven't done nearly enough of those films. I own like 20, I think.
There you go.
Of those films. So definitely need to touch on that. All right, so we've gushed enough. We've given some spoilers, but there is some other parts of the film we want to keep, because it is a fairly new film, and we don't like to completely spoil the movie with new releases. We are still relatively good with that. But before you hear our verdict on the film, first you need to check out this rad ass interview that yours truly, Lowdown, got to snag with none other than Justin M. Seaman. The writer-director of The Barn Part 2, and also plays the Boogeyman.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm jealous.
Yeah. He's such a fucking cool dude, man.
Yeah, he is.
Such a fucking cool dude, man. And his wife, his family's fucking rad. Like, his kids are adorable as shit. They're out there at the con behind the pen, like, fucking, kids are, it's awesome. And also, get a little info, what's going on with the GUI crew, and we'll be right back. What's going on, everybody? This is Lowdown, coming straight from the mouths of madness. I am here at Mad Monster Horror Convention in Concord, North Carolina, and I was lucky enough to sit down with Justin Seaman. This is like part 2 interview, and this has actually been in the making for a couple cons. It just hadn't happened. I might have potentially drank too much and then didn't do the interview. Also, you're a busy man. You're a busy man.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I got to give him the proper intro. He's like got the names. I mean, we're talking writer, director, producer, actor, business entrepreneur. Like, you've got Breaker of Chains, maybe? Add that to it?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. I mean, dude, you've literally starting Scream Team Releasing. Folks, you've heard him in the initial interview. When we did a review on The Barn, I attached the interview to the end of that review to go back probably about 30 episodes, and you can listen to that. And that was for the first film. I mean, outside of the film we're going to go into, I mean, what else has been going on with, like, running the company and getting that?
Oh, man. It's been crazy trying to balance, a business of the distribution side of things, plus making films, being a husband, being a father, because I had 2 kids while making the barn too, you know, and then during the pandemic. So it's been crazy, and then obviously trying to have a business and make a film in the pandemic was just chaos itself. Not knowing whether you were going to continue having a business and complete a film, you know. So I'm very thankful that both of those things, you know, the film was completed and I still have a business.
You still have a business?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I know that what we talked about prior was that, you know, you wanted to give an outlet for creators, a place that they can distribute their films, and that was one of the driving forces for Scream Team Releasing. So how is it out, you know, like, I'm assuming you weren't getting as much content, like, emailed, like, hey, would you be interested in distributing this film during the pandemic, you know, and all that too, right?
Not of quality. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
That's a nice way.
Yeah, it's a nice way to put it.
Yeah, I mean, we were getting a lot of stuff during the pandemic, just not of quality.
Yeah.
So since the pandemic has ended, the quality has increased for sure. But you know, the number one thing with Scream Team Releasing is getting out here to the public, to the conventions. You know, because you don't see that a lot with a lot of distribution companies that much, that they're out here. And this is how we've grown, and I meet filmmakers as one-on-one. Majority of the people on the label, myself or other filmmakers that represent the business have met these people and introduced them to me and brought them to the team. So this is very much important to get out here and, you know, and
it's the face-to-face, right?
Yeah, exactly.
They know the person, right?
Yeah, and you know that you're, you know, that when you're making this connection with us and working with us, that you're part of the Scream Team family, and that we're representing your film, and the goal is to make you money and to actually pay you. So not being able to come out here and meet people for almost 2 years was very troublesome to the business. So everything's back on track now. So we've got some really awesome releases coming out in 2023 that I'm really excited that we can't obviously share yet because we kind of keep everything.
When I'm waiting, I've got
but
Scream Team. Like, so what I do with my horror collection is depending on the studio release, you know, whether it be Scream Factory or Arrow or Vinegar Syndrome, like, I put those films like in order of the release. So it's like all the Scream Factory stuff's in order alphabetically, but they're in their own corner. So when you look at it, you see all the same studios. I realized this prior to coming to this con, that I'm like, holy crap, I pretty much have like a pretty much almost a full shelf, minus maybe like, because, you know, a wide shelf, 10 films, minus 10 films maybe for Scream Team.
Yeah.
Because I've just been slowly just buying the films that you bring out. I mean, I'm all about that indie horror. You know, like I see a lot of value in it because so many films started out as the indie horror film, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we can wax poetic for days about Wes Craven and John Carpenter and all those guys that were doing
Texas Chainsaw.
Texas Chainsaw, Tobe Hooper. Yeah, like we talk for hours about that, right? And it's just they had definitely more of a struggle because they didn't have a Scream Team Releasing that was willing to put out those films initially. Like if you listen to the stories from a lot of those directors, they had to like hunt and scrap and fight to try to find something to release those films. Yeah. So I think what you're doing is awesome.
Well, thank you.
I really do. That long story short around to that. Yeah. And also, I enjoy most of the films. Yeah. Like one of the most recent ones I got. Oh, that's the film. We'll get to that scene in the barn part 2. But when we were talking earlier, White Doomsday. That's the one I was thinking of. I couldn't drop. I was like, and that's a good one. Yeah. I bought that pre-COVID at a con. I'm like, that's some fucked up dark shit.
That's some dark movie. Yeah.
So, like you mentioned, outside of being a father, a husband, running a business, through all that, you're also trying to make a movie. Yeah. So let's dive in. Let's dive into the barn part 2. Yeah. I know I was part of the Indiegogo, excuse me, and you were very professional in releasing updates about, hey, there's been distribution slow-ups, trying to get them made, all the different versions, this and that. So I was very aware of like, okay, well, I haven't gotten it yet, but okay, now it's been pushed back 2 months, and I finally got it. Yeah. I mean, it just is what it is, man. I mean, I wasn't upset about it. Like, it is what it is. And I made sure, I was like, I've got to watch this, because I went on the Scream Team website and saw your con list, and I'm like, oh, he's going to be here. So like, I want to make sure I've watched it to dive into this film. I watched it literally last night. Okay. And man, like, you know, I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I enjoyed it for the film that it was. I wasn't comparing it to the first one.
Yeah.
It was a continuation. We've got a time jump, and that alone, going from decade to decade, even though it's technically a short time period, if you look back in reality, there was a huge shift.
Yeah.
From the late 80s to the early 90s. And I feel like you encompassed a lot of that in that film. One of the big things I wanted to ask you about is we really dove deep into the stylistic choices you made for the first Barn. Like, you wanted to film it like an 80s movie, and you were studying techniques, the cinematography techniques and all that that they used back then. What did you try to incorporate to like capture the 90s or that transition?
Yeah, so going off of the first movie, you know, we did a lot of things lighting-wise and filming styles of Barn Part 1 to make it seem more of like a drive-in flick, you know, that you would have seen in a grindhouse cinema type thing. For the sequel, you know, we did more of, this was going to be more of like a full moon feature VHS type rental. We wanted to do a little bit less grain, no scratches, not so much grunge on it. We didn't want to put any tracking on it to make it feel like you're watching a VHS tape, but you can definitely tell that this, you know, this isn't a pristine HD, you know, a transfer or anything like that. This is obviously a lower down, you know, graded film. But also, you know, the colors. You know, we wanted you to feel like, oh, this has tones to it, warmths that could be compared to movies like Clueless. You know, because VHSs coming out of the 90s, they had color palettes. You know, when you look back at those early 90s films. And so I was watching movies that, because obviously this is a college film. So I tell people, I reference some things that I was looking at movies like Slaughterhouse Rock. I was looking at movies like Fright Night Part 2.
Yeah.
Clueless, you know, even Scream 2, because the movie does center around Michelle being in a sorority. So, you know, we were looking at all that different kind of things that could carry into this. But a lot of it was the lighting, location, but mostly knowing what we were going to do in post-production compared to the first movie, which was not making it so grunged up, with grain as well. But you know, we did new cameras as well. We got new HD cameras, so we could shoot in low light a lot better than we did in the first movie as well. You know, in reality, you know, the 6-year difference was real.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
We really did improve. Like going in from the 80s to the 90s, we really did jump from, you know, mid 2000, you know, to 2016 to 2020, as production did increase, so did the quality of the film. So it really was true to it, you know. But it assisted
cool.
us, you know.
That's really cool. Like, as you and your crew upgraded, like, it was kind of like the upgrade in the filming quality from the.
Yeah, I mean,
cool.
and we could have made it look pristine, like, you know, as best as we could, but we also sat there and we went, the Barn 1 has a certain look to it. So to make Barn 2 look like, we could have shot it on a red and it could have looked fantastic. But then if people would have looked at it and been like, this doesn't even feel like the sequel to the Barn, because it could have looked like almost like a reboot, you know, like another company made it. So we had to sit there and kind of go like, there's a certain quality that it has to look. It has to look like a B film. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It has to look like a cheap B film.
Wait, I get what you're saying. Like, you can't just you make a sequel. You want it to feel like a sequel, not like, okay, well, we can clearly do it and have it look as crisp as possible. But then, am I really making a sequel to the original film?
Exactly.
Am I doing it?
Exactly.
And you're trying to just keep it true to form.
Because we're in that space now where we have the tools, we have the budgets,
which is awesome.
You know, yeah. And we could make it look fantastic, but we want to stay true to making it look like a true sequel to that movie and keeping. You know, it's a cheesy slasher B film. You know,
it's so good.
Yeah.
Oh, I eat that cheese up, dude. It's like cheese whiz out of a can, bro. I'm like, throw on some crackers.
And I will tell people this. You know, this movie's not out there to, you know, shock, to do anything like that. It is a popcorn film. You know, it's meant to have fun for 80-some minutes, and at the end, you're supposed to be like, that was a fun time. I hope to watch it again. You know, I hope for people to watch it again. You know,
Yeah.
That's the point behind it.
Yeah, it's not for the auteur or whatever,
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
or like a hard art student. No, a theater major. Like, oh, this is no. It's if anything, both films feel a lot like an ode to.
Oh yeah.
But with its own originality.
Exactly.
You know, because it's got all the elements there. And part of that is, I know with the barn, we talked about that, you originally, as a kid, came up with that concept and drew the drawings. Like, was the story for the barn 2 part of that as a kid, or did you kind of
So there was a sequel when I was 10 that I wrote. It was called Zombie Railroad. It was about Sam, Josh, and Chris, because Chris survived in the original story. And they're digging in the town, and they actually find an underground railroad, and they release this pretty much army of zombies. And with them comes the Boogeyman and Howler Jack and Candy Corn Scarecrow again, and then goblins and all this stuff. So I took a lot of elements of that's, people will say like, well, why is there zombies in this one? Well, there's zombies in this one because of Zombie Railroad, and I tried to stay true to my story as a kid. And, that's part of the thing that I think, for me, that when people say that there's a charm to the first movie, I try to sit there and I go, what is the charm? Because I really don't know. I don't know what the charm is. Sometimes I rack my brain and I go, well, what is the charm to the first movie that people like? Is it the way we shot it? Is it the acting? Is it the bad acting sometimes that I had people act that way? Specifically for making them watch movies that say act like this. Is it the characters? Is it the kills? I don't know. Well, is it the story that I tried to keep, the elements of like the goosebumpy type stuff that I tried to keep that was true to the childhood, So
would you like my take on like what gives it to me?
What is it? What is the charm to the first movie?
Charm to the first movie for me was a big part of it was obviously it was the way it was filmed as an 80s kid that like I teethed on 80s horror, right? But the lore. So it was the story, like just that lore, like the boogeyman, and and like the gateway to hell, and like there's this, and it was Sam and his Halloween rules and all that, like that to me, because that's what it was about. Like from what I remember, that's what it was about. There were rules to Halloween that you learned as you started trick or treating as a kid.
Yeah.
And there has always been folk tales. There has always been that thing that just keeps you up at night. You tell at campfires. Like, hey, listeners, if you've never been to a campfire, eaten some s'mores and told some scary stories, you're missing out. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
But like, I grew up with that. So for me, right out the gate, having that 3 knocks, trick or treat, all those different things was awesome. And then they also murked a kid with a pickaxe to the top of the head. But then going right into Sam and how he wanted to keep Halloween alive, it was almost like that Footloose-esque, oh, you can't dance, oh, you can't have Halloween, and like just fighting against that, like, screw that, let's have fun.
Yeah.
And then, but he was still very serious when he has that conversation on the ride into
Weary Falls. Yeah.
Weary Falls, sorry. There's so many 2-name horror towns that I always get them mixed up. I'm like, Cherry Falls, no, that's a different movie. Anyway, that was what it was for me. And then everything else, the fun ensues, like the gore fest and all this. And like the continuation with the Barn 2, there's still that. Like there's still this story. Like opens up with a freaking campfire.
Yeah.
Spoilers.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go any more into that because I did not expect it to start that soon.
Yeah.
But, as any sequel, you kind of come out swinging.
Yeah.
But it starts up with ghost stories.
Yeah.
You look at Friday the 13th, they would tell stories about Jason around the campfire.
That's exactly what that was. Yeah.
And it's like, I love that. And it's I don't look at it, I look at it as an ode to, but still being, it was your own. It was your own creation, you and everybody involved. Talking to your wife recently, she's been involved with some of the, I guess some of the work in the filming. And
everything. I mean,
that's awesome.
I'll just say this, not to get off topic, but I mean, my wife Tanya, she plays Swine in part 2.
Oh, that's her?
Yeah, she's the pig man.
Okay.
But behind the scenes, she's everything. She's costumes, she's set design, build, she's caterer, she's backbone. So I'll just put that. If it wasn't for Tanya, there'd be no movies. So people who like the Barn, thank Tanya because and she allows me to make the movies.
No, that's awesome. Yeah. That's awesome.
Because she can pretty much say, hey, no more making movies. We've got kids.
See, we got a couple working together, common goal.
Stop playing filmmaker.
But I mean, it was kind of a long answer, but because there is a lot there that I think that's where the magic is for me.
That's good to know because I mean, I sit there and I go, I don't know what it is because people say like there's a charm to it. But for me, sitting there as like a writer, I go, I want to put elements of the story, to keep it original. So moving into, not to ruin if anybody hasn't seen, listening to this hasn't seen the sequel. There are elements of zombies in the sequel.
I was going to say, I was like, I see where that, now I see where that came from because that was fun. I did not see that coming. But also, I mean, kind of the gate to hell, so.
Yeah. And you just don't know. And I wanted to make, obviously there's new creatures in this one too. Those creatures were in the original Barn books.
Okay.
The Screecher and the Pigman. I didn't have the budget in the first movie to include them, so when I had the opportunity to make the sequel, I wanted to bring them in. And we weren't sure like if we were going to get a chance to do it when the sequel started because the pandemic happened, so we were like, maybe we're just going to end up cutting them. So they ended up being something that we ended up shooting, I think, like in 2021. Because then we finally ended up getting money to like finally get them made and doing all that stuff. So,
so from a book,
some weird
have
stuff
you thought
going
about
on.
releasing like the book? Kind of like Return of the Living Dead was based off a book, and then the movie came out. But I also have a signed copy of Return of the Living Dead from John Russo.
I mean,
I thought that was cool.
If you read the books, you'd be like, it's just gibberish. In the original Barn Blu-ray, we did do like
a storyboard, right?
It's like a storybook you can read, and we kept it written exactly the way I wrote it.
I have the original Barn.
It's just nonsense.
Yeah. Okay. If that's what you're, yeah.
It's just nonsense.
I know you said you had to get back because he is working here, people. He just happened to take a break and sit down with me.
We can talk a little while.
Okay.
We're good. I haven't got the message yet to get back to the table.
I really wanted to dive into the sequel, like you, because like I mentioned, one of the things that was magic to me and the charm was the lore, and I, without spoiling it, I loved the actor telling the story of the lore, but how you had that addition of someone who worked.
Oh yeah.
And witnessed it, and the tie-in.
Yeah.
With the hard hat and the hand, and just you actually got just enough where it wasn't like full explanation or like talking like over explaining to the audience. It was just enough that there is that old timer that I can tell you what's going on.
Well, and that was a scene. You want me just to say what's going on?
Yeah.
Okay. So that was a scene with Doug Bradley.
Yeah.
And I wrote that specifically with him in mind, and we basically told everybody, I said, if we can't get him, I'm not including this scene in the movie. But from the setup of the end of the first movie, I always knew that if I got a sequel, this is where it was going. It was always set up that Sam's grandfather would tell this, because if you watch the first movie, after Sam impales the boogeyman with the hook in the mouth, the helmet falls on the ground, he picks it up and it says Daniels. So he's kind of like, what the fuck is that? Why is my name on this helmet? So I always had it set up that you would be like, how is Sam connected? Or somehow, why is Sam's last name or whatever connected to this boogeyman lore, you know? And I knew after the first movie came out and people talked to me, they always liked the mythology of these creatures. And I always had a backstory that went from here and even further back. So I wanted to give them a little bit more of a taste of like, here's a little bit of more of maybe how these things came about, and
I loved it. It was just enough. It was just enough.
And I was nervous having this in because it is about, when we shot it, it was about 10 minutes long, and we cut it down to 5. And I don't think any other actor could have done it, honestly.
Dude.
And even filming it, we were captivated with Doug because it was, honest to God, like listening to a grandfather tell you a scary ass ghost story, to the point that when he did it, I mean, he probably he told that story probably damn near 20 times because of the different angles we shot it. But when he did it the first time, after he was done, I mean, he just went all the way through it. But when he was done telling the story, literally Zane, the camera op, he turns to me and he goes, "Are you gonna say cut?" I was like, "Oh shit!" Like I forgot we were filming because I was just so caught up in him telling the story.
Oh, dude, that's why that definitely has part of it. Like I'm watching him, like, and I also was a fan because I actually got a chance to interview Doug. 5-6 years ago anyway, and I was discussing the Spine Chillers.
Yeah,
he's
that's
doing
exactly
the audiobooks.
why I wanted him.
And I listened to some after that because I didn't know he was doing that. And I'm like, oh my, yes, please tell me a story. Like, just keep telling me stories.
Yeah.
So when I saw he put the paper down, I'm like, oh yeah, this is awesome. Because I had no idea, that he was in the film.
Yeah.
And that was such a treat. And then of course, you let him close out with Raise Some Hell. I was like, oh yes, this is so good.
Well, I'll tell you a little funny story about that. So that was it was always going to be in the script, but I was afraid to put that in when I submitted to him and his agent because I thought they'd be like, oh, no. So when he got there on set that day, I was like, hey, there was a little bit of a rewrite. So here you go. And he looked at it, and he saw that I had put that in there, and he just kind of like gave me a glance, and he went, naughty. I was like, yeah, well, you got to say it now because you've been paid.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. But he loved that. He had to have loved that. He ate that shit up,
I told him, I was
dude.
like, people are going. But if you watch if you have the Blu-ray, you watch the bloopers. Oh man, he was so great.
So I didn't get into the bloopers
Well,
last
you got to
night.
watch the bloopers.
Okay.
You got to watch the making of too.
Okay.
He was just great. He sat down, did the whole interview with us. We told him, we just want like a 5-10 minute interview. I couldn't even use almost the stuff. I mean, he probably sat there for 50 minutes with us and talked. I mean, I could only use like so much of it for the making of.
Yeah.
But, I mean, he just went on and on and on. Like, it was so informative. Like, I think our agreement was like maybe we needed him for 4 or 5 hours, and he was probably there like 7 or something, just shooting a breeze with us. He was an awesome dude. Yeah.
That's all.
So yeah. I was like, I never thought I would get a chance to direct Doug Bradley. That was probably the most intimidating of all the people I worked with. Not because he was like a jerk or anything, just because I'm like, he took it serious.
Well, he's classically trained.
Yeah.
Like
you know what I mean?
Like,
I'm like, he showed up and he was asking me questions about what this character did that morning, and the way he would sit there and take his glasses off. I'm like, he was really thinking this out. This wasn't just him showing up for a paycheck. Like
when I interviewed him, we went into how it was basically like a family, right? It was like Hellraiser 2, and like Nightbreed, kind of all in one swoop, right?
Yeah,
and he was like, it was kind of like that, but like he had just gotten out of actual theater, and it was like, oh, which I did not know at that point. I'm like, oh, so this dude's coming from like, no, I got the certification, motherfucker. Like,
yeah.
And it makes sense of why he can just absorb, just like kind of fall into a character so easy. Like he just builds himself. He builds it internally.
Yep.
And not going back and rewatching anything that he's been in, I'm like, okay, like I because there's some actors we watching, like there's something there. That's why I just think they're awesome, and like you don't know what it is. When I found that out and went rewatch, I'm like, that's what it is. Yep. He just knows how to bring it.
Yep.
But trained to bring it, like all that. Like for instance, Nick Offerman, not to get sidetracked, but same thing. Classically trained, that dude always kills it. Like, you watch The Last of Us?
Oh man, he was phenomenal.
No spoilers for the show for people that might not have caught up, but episode 3 was, oh God. You just want to just cry your heart out.
Oh yeah.
It's beautiful. Yeah. Anyway, real quick rapid fire. You brought some new cameos in, obviously Doug Bradley, and you brought some other ones back with more screen time. We got more Ari Lehman. I heard on the phone, dude, I was like, wait, that's Lloyd Kaufman. And I heard it because we've actually had the honor of interviewing him twice, like once over the phone and once at Monster Mania in Cherry Hill. Such a fun dude, such a great guy. Like, he's another one where it's like DIY, here's a place to put your films out, right? Was that an inspiration to you? Like,
oh yeah,
the Scream Team was trauma?
For sure. I mean, my whole life. Actually, when I was doing the first Barn, I had his book, was How to Make Your Own Damn Movie. Mm-hmm. I haven't always been a fan of all of Lloyd's movies.
Well, yeah, obviously.
But I'm a fan of Lloyd and how he, just getting shit done. And I always wanted to have him in something. So when I was writing The Barn 2, I wanted him to be the town's mayor. So I was super happy
awesome.
that I was able to get him in. And I tell people, I didn't know what to expect working with Lloyd, but it was the closest thing to working with a live-action Looney Tune character.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Because, especially for his age.
70, he just turned 77.
Yeah, it was just, It just was. I mean, you ever see
He's a
like
lively person.
You ever see Bugs Bunny like where he's like woohoo and he's just like going like bouncing like all over the walls?
Yes.
That's pretty much what he was like. But it was a great thing.
Yeah.
You know. But it was to the point where it was like hey, okay, Lloyd, you did 4 takes of crazy stuff. Okay, now can you say what's on the script? You know what I mean? I think I got enough like zingers and everything.
Yeah.
Because he'd be like, "What the toxic tarnation's going on?" I'm like, "Okay, Lloyd, can't do that. Can't have toxy stuff, you know." Or he's like, let's hurry and wrap this up. I gotta get to the Trumaville premiere of the next film, you know. I'm like, "Okay, Lloyd, can't use that. Let's go ahead and use the next one. You know, say what's on the script." But it was fun.
Yeah. And then I didn't know he would pop back up, and I should have figured with the meeting. I'm like, oh, yes, there. I know that voice. And then we got Ari Lehman, who actually is going to the town with his fucking guitar. Holy shit.
Yeah.
This massive thing he's like wielding into the fucking...
We made him the biggest guitar we could make.
Dude, that was awesome.
He's like, this is an actual keyboard. I was like, yeah, it is.
Because I've seen First Jason, they actually came to Richmond once, and I'm like, they're not that big.
Yeah.
It was just ridiculous. It was hilarious. I just got to chuckle.
Super oversized for smashing pigs.
Yes. I'm trying to think.
Linnea
came back, yes, and she got shut down a little bit in this one, which was kind of like her character, Miss Barnhart, which Barnfart, which was Lloyd Kaufman.
That was him. That was all him, man.
Dude, that was awesome.
Like, no, and he only gave me those takes, so I was like, well, that's what we're using, but I liked it.
Yeah, it was his humor. Like it was like that's Lloyd Kaufman.
Yeah.
You know, like that's what that was. So I mean, yeah. So folks, I'm telling you. They can buy it straight from ScreamTeamReleasing.com, right?
Yeah, that's the best place. I mean, you can get it from Amazon too, but man, we get gouged on Amazon.
Yeah,
so
go to the website.
Come to Scream Team. Plus, we've got signed copies that you can get them signed by Joe Bob and Diana Prince.
Geez, your foot.
Yeah.
Forgot to mention Darcy the Mail Girl, Diana Prince.
Yeah, and
she's in that.
And get it signed by Ari and Linnea.
Or Joe Bob. I didn't mention Joe Bob. Yes, Joe Bob has a cameo too.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not trying to cut you off from promoting.
No.
I'm just like, these are the people that are in this making, and their scenes are prime for them.
Yeah,
is where I'm going at. Like they all had the perfect spot where they needed to be in the film.
I mean, honestly, we tried. I didn't want to throw anybody in the movie for the sake of being like, hey, we have these people just in it. Like I tried to make spots for them that felt natural.
And that's what I felt when I watched it. Like truly, like when I didn't think about when they mentioned, oh, there's kids at the drive-in, and he's like, hey, I'm gonna go to the drive-in and check on the kids, and I'm like, okay, I'm like, there's a drive-in. In a million years, I didn't expect to see him, and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, that tracks. That makes sense.
Yeah.
And that was the beauty of it. That's how it should feel.
Yeah.
And that's what I got.
Cool.
Or Ari Lehman being like, a continuation of the obnoxious DJ. You know what I mean? Like that just makes sense. It fits for him. Like if you ever go, when you see First Jason, his persona is of that.
Yep.
And it was just very fitting. You know. So, no, it was awesome. But again. You were saying ScreamTeamReleasing.com, that's where you find the film.
ScreamTeamReleasing.com, you can find single discs, 2-disc editions, all kinds of stuff. I mean, we have a ton of merch. We actually have some cool news coming out here soon. If you keep an eye on the Indiegogo, there will be some new merch that we are going to be crowdfunding for Barn Part 2 here in the upcoming weeks. That's going to be exclusive. So that you should keep an eye out for it because it's gonna be very limited. But you're gonna want to back it.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep my eye out for that then. Yeah.
It's exciting. We've been working on it for a while. So I'm really excited to announce this coming up. So keep an eye on the Indiegogo. It'll be the same exact page. But yeah. And so I mean, I'm glad people have dug it. There's the phone call. You hear that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's it, folks. So also come to a fucking con if you're a horror fan. Yeah. Come experience the con. Like come and all of the films the Scream Team has, you'll be able to purchase, and you'll be able to purchase the baller versions with the awesome slip covers and all that stuff. So
and you might meet me, or you might meet some of the other filmmakers that I represent because they're always running the tables.
Exactly, and it's always a pleasure to go to that booth and talk. I think we talked for like 20 minutes prior to the interview. That's over 20 minutes. Like
for sure.
We still have more to talk about. So, but this man's got to go. He's got to get back. He's doing his thing.
Thanks for listening to the show. Thanks for supporting indie horror. If you check out The Barn 2 and you like it, leave a good review somewhere. If you didn't like it, please don't review it and leave it anywhere.
Fair. Yeah. And everybody, until I talk to you again, embrace the madness. Yeah.
In a world with too many reboots and remakes,
two men will stop at nothing to make it even worse.
Join Mike the Hobbit and Tandy as they play by their own rules while pitching new takes on some of your favorite and least favorite films and TV shows. What podcast would dare to bring this upon the world? This is Smack My Pitch Up.
My name is Amy Bogard.
And I'm Mike the Hobbit.
And we are the hosts of Deeply Upsetting, where we use our expertise to answer your most upsetting hypothetical quandaries, such as what non-winged animal deserves wings?
And what body part deserves a secret mouth?
Which cryptid is the worst roommate?
These questions and more that plague you will be answered on Deeply Upsetting, available anywhere you get your podcasts and at GUIpodcast.com.
Coming straight from the mouths of madness, I'm Lowdown.
I'm FU Hunter.
Do you love horror?
We fucking do.
So this is a podcast dedicated to all things in cinematic horror. We're talking movies, television, composers, special effects artists. We're gonna fucking cover it.
So if you love horror,
Embrace the madness.
Hey guys, Scotty P here with Smash on your left. And we are the Geek Fathers. That's right, bringing all the trials and tribulations of being a geeky parent.
So welcome to our world.
And as always, join us
Or cry.
In a world of blockbuster movies, there's another dimension.
The dimension of schlock cinema. Join us at Beautiful Disasters on a journey into the fringe territory of B-movie abandon.
We review the flicks that are forgotten or underappreciated to give them a proper place in the annals of celluloid history.
I'm the Groots,
FU Hunter.
your guides at Beautiful Disasters. Come along with us for a fun ride. May the schlock be with you.
All right, fuckers. I hope you enjoyed that interview. That was very insightful. Like, I feel like, again, like, you know, I knew, you know, so his wife played the pig in the film, but I did not know that she did so much behind the scenes shit with the filming and the crew and the cast and all that. Like, that's fucking awesome. And, you know, he'll be dug hearing about some of the cinematography choices that were made for the film, because I know we talked heavily about that on the Barn Part 1 interview I did, which was way back in 2018.
well, yeah, I was gonna say
It's fucking
been a
long
while.
time ago. So go back and check that episode out. There's another interview attached way back then for that. So, but no, great interview, great guy to talk to. If you're at a fucking con and you see a Scream Team releasing booth, it's more than likely him. And he also, like you mentioned, he also has other, not just his wife and, you know, his kids, but he also has will have other film directors.
Yeah, and there's some good shit in there.
That he releases their films under Scream Team releasing, and he will have other directors there with their movies.
Yeah,
You know, so it's really cool to meet a bunch of indie creators. So make sure, at the minimum, go to the ScreamTeamReleasing.com, go to that website, buy some shit. Tons of fun stuff. Like I said, I own like 20 of their films by now. Yeah. It's
and one of their movies was covered on Beautiful Disasters.
Oh, yeah, it was. Summer Party Massacre 3.
Yeah.
God, that movie. You're welcome, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, no.
Movie's a fucking tire fire. It's so good.
It's so good.
It's so good. The plastic baby after the... Dude.
There's just so much. Yeah.
It's so dumb.
Just referencing, just go back and check out that episode.
Yeah, just check that episode. And so, I mean, it fucking was an awesome movie. Barn Part 2 was fucking rad as shit.
Yeah, I kind of hinted to it, but I'll say it for sure. Yeah, I had so much fun. I've only seen it one time. I've seen The Barn.
Oh my God.
10 plus times.
Yeah, you know how long, how long did it fucking take you to finally watch it, motherfucker, after I told you to watch it?
Right. That's how and there's been movies I think I've suggested to you that also drag their feet a little bit. It sometimes happens both ways.
Yeah.
But let's just say,
hey,
once I watched it, we said it before, you know, I do outside movies. It's the go-to once we get to fall time. I'm going to show it.
Man.
I'm going to show it at least once or twice every year. This, I'm going to add to it. Now it's going to be Barn 1, Barn 2. This very easily fits into
the 100%.
How much fun the first one was with added kills, added intensity.
Lots of fun. And that's really the thing, folks, we didn't spoil for you. Like I mentioned before the break and listening to the interview was we did not spoil all the awesome kills. We dropped some of our favorites, but there are so many good fucking kills in this movie.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Us holding off, you're going to find out for yourself.
Exactly. But I'm telling you, it was hard not talking about those. There's some good fucking practical effects kills in this movie.
So I put it a little almost over top of the first one just because of that.
Yeah, I mean, and it's a weird place to be because we wouldn't have gotten that if it wasn't for the first one, right?
Yep.
Like it's a weird,
yeah,
it's that weird limbo of like, oh, because I always love the origin, like, and the first one was such a good origin for the monsters, you know, and also the lore of like we got the whole film with Sam specifically and his rules and for Halloween because like that's a big thing. Like I mentioned in the interview with Justin, like you know there are rules to Halloween, like. They focused on that on Trick or Treat too. There were this was set up to ward off evil spirits. There are rules to follow.
Yeah,
you know, and like Sam was so hardcore about that, but that literally was a thing we grew up with.
Oh, and can we throw out just as you had in the original, you had in the '80s, and you get to the '90s, the '90s sequels.
The soundtrack.
Well, I don't even say the soundtracks. You know, there's a couple tits in the first one. This one takes that. And just as it did with the kills, there's a few more titties in this.
A few more titties.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and again, that's a 80s, 90s slasher like go-to is you had a couple in the first one.
Yeah.
You doubled or tripled that bitch in the second.
The one trope that they didn't follow that was big in the 90s and also in the 80s, but was they didn't kill the black dude first.
That is true.
Like he was the one that had the barn they rented from, right?
Yeah.
And they killed him like...
He's still pretty early on, man.
Yeah, but they killed all the kids first.
They killed all the kids,
Scouts.
but people connected to...
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he died pretty quick. He died pretty quick.
Yeah.
But no, he still wasn't the first one. Like
he was the first one. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
But he's like, what, number 6 or 7?
That's still better than being the first.
On a number that goes up into the 60s, possibly. Yeah, so he's still pretty early on. He's top 10, all right?
Yeah. He's top 10.
He's top 10.
But no, yeah, so that's the biggest thing is I don't know if I can give a finite on if it's better to me than the first one. I need to sit with it more because I've sit with the first one for so long.
And that's where it's...
Like I saw the first one in 2017 and it came out in 2016. So it's like I've been sitting on it. I've been watching that movie almost 5 years.
Yeah, and that's where I'm cautious, but I'm also
6 years. Excuse me.
I'm also a bit confident because of how much fun just this first viewing that I know as I'm watching with other people. As in the first one, I'm like, oh wait, this shit's about to happen. This one, hold on. I feel like I'm gonna be telling people, no, don't grab another beer yet. You need to see this. Wait.
Hold on.
Don't take a piss yet. You need to see this part.
Yeah.
So, and I felt like just this first viewing. That as much as I do that with the first movie, this one is there's so much.
We got like 7 months.
I know.
We got 7 months.
Yep.
And then we get yeah. So that's it, folks. We're both in agreement. It was a great killer, right? I mean, it was a killer fucking film. Love the shit out of it.
It passes.
Love the shit out of it. Well done, sir. Well done.
Yes.
Well done. Yes. Please make more.
Please make a third one. Yeah.
Please make more.
With 100 plus kills, and it's gonna get even more hardcore.
How would you do that? Would you do late 90s or early? Because technically, you could do a movie in the early 2000s, and it's a 20-year-old. It's 20 years ago.
I think you could almost make a fun, quote requel remake of picking on that with that kind of late 90s, early 2000s, where everything got a fresh start. And like now, whatever,
Yeah.
The kids from the second one are now in college and talk about that night when shit went haywire.
Yeah, and with a shitty 2000 soundtrack.
Yep. Oh, yeah. There's going to be some new metal on there.
New metal. Dude,
fucking going to school, bro.
All right, everyone. Thanks for joining in. And until we talk to you again, embrace the madness.
Join us at GUIPodcast.com.